You're dozing off in the middle of your trans-Pacific flight to Tokyo when your plane begins to shake. You put it off as normal turbulence, but then the cabin begins to fill with a black cloud giving off a sulfuric scent. As panic fills the aircraft, you begin to realize something has gone horribly wrong. This wasn't turbulence from a rain cloud, but an ash cloud. You hear the mayday calls from the cockpit as your aircraft is forced to become a glider due to engine failure. But why did the engines fail? To answer this question, you need to understand what is volcanic ash, how it reached the cruising altitude of commercial aircraft, and what ash does to jet engines. Volcanic ash is a mixture of small particles of igneous rock and volcanic glass that are violently ejected up out of an erupting volcano with hot gas. Volcanic ash is less than 2 millimeters in size and forms quickly as magma is injected up into the atmosphere. Most ash is then carried by the wind and deposited some distance from the volcano producing it. If volcanic ash is carried to cruising altitude, some of it will be sucked into the jet's engines, posing a serious threat. Once inside the engine, the ash is compressed and heated, causing it to melt inside the combustion chamber. These melt droplets are then deposited onto the engine turbines, reacting with the sealant protecting the metal. Once the droplets make it through the protective layer, they can solidify on the turbine, throwing the equilibrium within the engine off, causing the engines to flame out. Once all engines fail, the plane is in freefall as the pilots attempt to regain control of the aircraft. With so many flights every day, why don't we see aircraft going down all the time due to volcanoes? While some volcanoes, like the ones in Hawaii, are very active, it is rare for an eruption to eject volcanic ash all the way to cruising altitude of commercial aircraft. When an ash cloud enters cruising altitude, it can be extremely difficult for a pilot to tell an ash cloud from a normal cloud, especially at night. Fortunately, we can use satellites to spot erupting volcanoes that could be violent enough to inject ash 30,000 feet into the sky. The airlines are constantly updated about these eruptions and deviate flight paths accordingly to ensure passenger safety. With the precautions and maneuvers keeping aircrafts out of the ash clouds, you can sit tight through that turbulence knowing that the pilot and science has your back.